Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low. Let the wind
I've been trying to I've been trying to record this episode. I was very tempted to do an episode last night, except when thinking about it, I said to my wife, I'm gonna want to record this, except I'm worried that I'll just end up rambling on. I'm just so uh I'm I'm happy, but I'm also furious. Happy and furious. And all I will do is ramble on, and as some frustrated, frustrated because when all this crap started happening with the mandates, with the COVID mandates years ago. And, Commissioner Carroll and that police minister, Mark Ryan. Sorry, I was going to call him some names. However, I realized you can't call him names. I shouldn't call him names. What I think of the man, what I want to call him, two different things. Just furious. I'm sorry. I'm furious. I'm going to try and. Okay, start again. So, yeah, I wanted to do this last night. However, I realized that if I did this last night, I was just going to ramble on because while I am very happy about the outcome, what's happened, I'm very happy for the officers who kept going with this fight. I got to admit, my energy levels were depleted a long time ago. I was dealing with my own personal issues. I was dealing with, stuff happening in my life. And I knew I didn't have it. I did. I knew I didn't have the strength in me to fight or argue anymore. Um, Financially, I was just becoming depleted. Emotionally, physically, I couldn't do it anymore. Um, with my health wise, I just couldn't. I couldn't go on with the argument. I couldn't fight. I couldn't keep going. So my hat uh, tipped. Hats off to all these QAS and QPS staff members, officers who continued the fight, continued arguing. Um, I think it's just I'm over the moon for you. Uh so yeah, I wanted to do this last night, except I knew I would just ramble. So sorry for rambling. People have complained because I ramble. Whatever. Let's go. So I'll share a few things first off, and then we'll go on. So there's some things I've always gone through and tried to work out what I can say, what I can't say, uh, and whatever. Here, accordingly, accordingly, I consider the decision to suspend you without salary and allowances is compatible with human rights under the Human Rights Act 2019. You mightn't understand why I'm saying this, but it'll make sense later on, probably. Here, human rights. I considered that my decision to suspend you with salary and allowances and ask you to show cause why you should not be suspended without pay may limit your right of equal access to the public service. And if a decision is subsequently made to suspend you without pay, your right to property, which may include remuneration. Because my decision enforces the direction, it also limits human rights related to autonomy and bodily integrity, including the right not to receive medical treatment without consent and the right to privacy. Because your reason for allegedly failing to comply with the direction is based on a conscientious religious belief, this decision also limits your right to equality and non discrimination and freedom of thought, conscience, religion, and belief. And then it's, however, so here you go. These are all the reasons why. But then they say, however, did I read the part what a sophist is? A sophist, paid teacher of philosophy and rhetoric in Greece in the classical and Hellenistic periods associated in popular thought and with moral skepticism and specious reasoning. A person who reasons with clever but false arguments. It is my belief that the Queensland government, much of our Western society, Queensland, and a lot of the branches of our legal system are built on sophist philosophy. They are putting forward clever arguments, but they're also false arguments. They make arguments and talk in riddles. And this is what I think, well, this is what they've done. So they put forward this argument, hey, these are all the reasons why you shouldn't have to comply. However, I consider these limits on human rights are reasonable and justified by the need to ensure compliance with the directions as follows. Blah, blah, blah. Basically, yep, human rights say one thing, we really don't give a crap. We're going to go and trounce all over your human rights. Then yesterday, this all came up. Mandating COVID-19 vaccines for some Queensland frontline workers found to be unlawful, judge rules. In short, some Queensland frontline workers challenged. A judge has ruled partially in their favour, finding the directives breached section of the Human Rights Act. A QPS spokesman said the service would carefully consider the judgments and our options moving forward. A judge has ruled that mandating COVID-19 vaccines for some Queensland frontline workers was unlawful based on human rights grounds. Dozens of Queensland Police, QPS and QAS, Queensland Ambulance Service staff, challenged their workplace mandates in the Supreme Court in 2022. The two groups were testing the legality of the directions on several grounds of the Judicial Review Act and the Human Rights Act. Okay, so Justice Glenn Martin found the applicants had not established any ground under the GRA. However, he did find the directives breached Section 58 of the HRA, Human Rights Act, which states that all public service employees must give proper consideration to human rights before making a decision, and that they must act and make decisions that are compatible, make decisions which are compatible with human rights. Go back. I consider that limits on human rights are reasonable and justified. The other letter, accordingly, I consider the decision to suspend you without salary and allowances is compatible. Justice Martin determined the Commissioner of Police failed to comply with this section of the Act. Failed to comply. Remember last week I did the episode about the Commissioner, Katarina Carroll. Is it former Commissioner? She actually resigned now. Was that last Friday? Or was it this Friday? Whenever. She stood down. Who knows the reason? And I said, well, there's got to be more to this because she only had another, was it 4 months to go and her tenure was up anyway. Her 5-year contract, $650,000 a year. She pulls the pin 4 months out from finishing. This is the reason I believe. I think, my opinion, she knew that this was coming down the pike, and she's like pulling the pin. There's more to this. She was, and the politicians, they would have known this is coming. They knew this is coming, and hey, you got to go. You're out. You've got to go. So all the crap, all the rubbish that they feed you about, hey, this is the reasons why we're going, and just nothing to see here. We're just pulling the pin 4 months out from the contract ending anyway. Don't ask us any questions. Everyone's saying, oh, no, there's no other reason. We've got extreme faith in Katarina Carroll. This is the real reason. They knew that this was coming, so she had to fall. In a written decision, Justice Martin determined the Commissioner of Police, at that time it was Katarina Carroll, She failed to comply with this section of the Act despite being provided human rights compatibility assessments, and based on this declared that the QPS, the Queensland Police Service directions, were unlawful. Arguments were also made by the applicants about breaches of Section 17 of the HRA, Human Rights Act, which says people should not be subjected to medical treatment without full, free, and informed consent. However, Justice Martin ruled that this human rights limit was reasonable when weighing all the consequences. That's actually really important, because the next time when something happens, like, say, I don't know, disease X comes out, and then they declare they declare, hey, there's a health and they declare this health and safety act and say, oh, we have to lock everything down. People need to get vaccinated against disease X. Well, then they'll say, well, it's still lawful when weighing all the circumstances. This section 17 of the human rights, which says people should not be subjected to medical treatment without full, free, and informed consent, it'll still be lawful under this because all the circumstances have been weighed. The QPS staff deadline to be fully vaccinated was in January 2022. Let's go down. QPS said it introduced this mandate for similar public health reasons, as the nature of police work meant officers interacted with large numbers of people across the state. Mandates for both have since been lifted. Yeah, except Katarina Carroll was still chasing down discipline action of many good police officers. Justice Martin said that at the time, non-compliance may have had life-changing consequences. No, it had life-changing consequences for the applicants, and ordered that the Commissioner of Police no longer take steps to ensure the QPS directions or continue any disciplinary proceedings against them. A large group involved in the illegal action who were in court to hear the decision cheered and clapped when it was handed down. Outside court lawyer Justin Sibley, who represented some of the Queensland police staff, said the ruling was an excellent outcome. A lot of police have been terminated because they defied these so-called mandates, he said. Let's check out what he said.
How does everyone feel?
Excellent. I think that speaks volumes for how my clients feel about the decision. Obviously, it's a long decision. We'll have to read it and make some considerations about it and make some further comments. But the decision is that the directions were unlawful. That's the main thing. So that's an excellent outcome for us and for guys and the state and all other police and nurses, doctors, everyone that was coerced in the state at that time.
Directions were unlawful. Will the commissioner, will Katarina Carroll actually have to, will she have to pay for her decisions? Like, will she be facing court? Will she be facing legal ramifications? I don't think so. The problem with our legal system, our parliamentary system, our justice system, is it's built on a philosophy of being a sophist. They talk in riddles. None of it makes sense. They make it up as they go along. You can't, if you make a complaint in Queensland, I'll bring up something for you. If you're a relevant official or a member of a reference committee, and you're involved with Crime and Corruption Commission, a person to whom information is given either by the commission or by a person mentioned in paragraph A or B, on the understanding, express or implied, that the information is confidential, you must not make a record of or willfully disclose information that has come to the person's knowledge because the person is or was a person to whom this section applies. You have a penalty, a maximum penalty of 85 penalty units or 1 year's imprisonment. Another section of legislation you probably don't know anything about: if you ever make a complaint to the Parliamentary Crime and Corruption Committee. Standing Order 211A of the Standing Rules and Orders of the Legislative Assembly requires that all committee proceedings remain strictly confidential until the committee has reported or published those proceedings. Correspondence between yourself and the committee, including the fact that you have made a complaint, so you can't even tell people that you've made a complaint to them, constitutes committee proceedings and therefore must remain confidential. The standing order does not prevent you seeking legal advice in relation to your complaint. You can seek legal advice, but don't ever tell anyone that you made complaints. This is the problem. We have a system built on a philosophy of being a sophist philosophy, a system built on keeping secrets, a system built on protecting the hierarchy, protecting politicians, protecting the people in power. They can never truly be held accountable for the decisions they make, no matter how unscrupulous, no matter how down the track their decisions are held to be made unlawful, unreasonable, and yet they'll never be held accountable. And then the arguments will always come forward. They'll be built on an argument of complete riddles and lies. And people will be held to account saying, no, but you must keep this secret. You're not allowed to tell people that you made a complaint. Hey, if you tell people that you made a complaint or we've given you this direction, well, then you'll be held in Queensland. You'll be dragged before star chambers and told, hey, you can't tell anyone about this because you did tell someone about this, or because you know something. We want to know if you've told anyone. You have to tell us if you made that complaint. You have to tell us if you talked to someone about it. And if you don't answer questions, well, then you're going to go and sit in jail for 6 months if you don't answer our damn questions. This is the system that we've built our government on. Keeping secrets, protecting the people in power, whether you like it or not. Mandates being enforced, and then never being able to truly tell your story because you're going to be put in jail if you ever tell the complete truth about what you've gone through and any complaints that you may or may not have ever made. Which is not me admitting that I ever made any kind of complaint to anyone about anything ever in my life. Never, ever. Ever. It's all built on riddles and false arguments. I'm very happy for the people that had this win yesterday. Very happy, delighted, very sorry that I couldn't join and continue with that argument. I just didn't have, I'm sorry. Just sorry. And I hope that these people like Katarina Carroll, like Mark Ryan, are really held accountable for the lives that they destroyed and the decisions that they made and their callous reasoning when they showed that they did not care, they did not give a damn about the people's lives that they were destroying. But our government will continue with its veil of secrecy. But what a decision. Continue the fight. This is all my opinion. Sibley lawyers. Legendary. I don't know if this is part of the Slippery Slope podcast because this is just me rambling and raving on in anger. Delighted anger. It's my opinion. Thanks for joining me on the Slippery Slope.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire.